At DBS, our aspiration is to be a tech company that happens to look like a financial services company. We are looking at using technology to enable rapid experimentations. You need a much faster time to market. So we are looking at using technology to enable this. We have two phases of transformations. Phase one, do aggressive virtualizations. To date, we have achieved 99% of our operating systems virtualized. In the subsequent phase, we are looking at using container at scale to push that efficiency even higher. For us to achieve that, there's two things that we have to do. Number one is to bring container supports down to the hypervisor layer. The second is to create a container ecosystem such that we can build application, deploy, and operate them at scale in a rapid way.
At Raytheon, we're supporting the Department of Defense and the maturation of commercial software technologies and the integration of various technologies allowed us to spend less time on the platform or the infrastructure, take advantage of the cloud, and allow our developers to focus on the mission and the actual outputs the users demand to help keep the world a safer place. Our journey with Agile DevSecOps started with a team of a dozen or two people. And in the last two and a half years, it's grown to several hundred people and over 24 apps to help save lives, improve the mission capability of the Air Force, and do it at the most efficient cost.
At KPN, implementing Kubernetes is not a question of when, but of how. You see the landscape of application development changing into more Kubernetes environments. It's microservices, cloud native, has to be possible to run on-premise, but also in the cloud. My utopia platform would look like one base layer, which can offer all the services from bare metal up until a serverless and even function as a service. We were looking for a way to implement Kubernetes as a service for quite some time now. And I think VMware nailed that really nicely with Project Pacific.
Software continues to define and redefine the world in which we live. The impact of software is undeniable as nearly every business places massive expectations on the essential applications and services that drive new innovative offerings, shape customer relationships, and drive revenue growth and establish competitive differentiation. For more than 20 years, VMware has been the central partner for customers as they deliver powerful essential applications for their businesses. For instance, Comcast builds out incredible next-generation services for their home and business customers. They're building these on VMware. It's our ability to support the most demanding applications driving the most ambitious business strategies that have made VMware technology ubiquitous. vSphere is not just the most widely deployed, but the most trusted, most proven solution in the market. But the market is at a turning point. In fact, we're in the midst of a generational shift in applications. The last time we saw this kind of massive shift was the emergence of Java, and we can see the incredible innovation that resulted in our markets. Cloud-native principles, containers, Kubernetes, and microservices are all combining to redefine how applications are built, run, and managed. All of this holds incredible promise, but this transformation also brings challenges and uncertainty. Every organization recognizes the need to use software to move faster, drive innovation, compete more aggressively, and they're seeking solutions that make their developers more powerful and agile than ever before while still protecting security and operations. Today, we bring to the market the next step in our evolution, a complete portfolio for modern applications that will help customers accelerate their pace of innovation and unlock the potential of modern applications. Today, we are introducing VMware Tansu, a new portfolio of products from VMware, enabling customers to build, run, and manage modern apps in a multi-cloud environment. VMware Cloud Foundation version 4, the ubiquitous platform for the hybrid cloud with sweeping enhancements for modern applications. At its core is VMware vSphere, re-architected to run Kubernetes and virtualize apps side by side and re-engineered using Kubernetes to give developers and operators a new model for accessing and managing critical app resources. VMware has spent years building this strategy and portfolio. We deliberately chose the name Tansu to anchor this new portfolio. In Swahili, Tansu means branch. And as we bring this portfolio to market, it symbolizes more than just products and services, but a new branch of a growing family of solutions to help you deliver any application to any cloud. This is the beginning of a new era for VMware, a new era for our customers and our partners. For the millions of VI admins wanting to extend their skills and infrastructure to modern applications. For developers seeking a platform to rapidly develop apps for any cloud. And for the cloud architects building the platforms of tomorrow across diverse multi-cloud infrastructure. This new era is grounded in the core of VMware, grounded in what you trust to run your business today, grounded in 20 years of unparalleled enterprise expertise, infused with unique new insights to grow and transform your business for the future. VMware Cloud Foundation and Tansu will be delivered through every public cloud, supporting every major ISV, integrated across all major tool providers, built into the practices of every major systems integrator. Simply put, this portfolio will be the most widely deployed, most widely used, most powerful modern apps portfolio on the planet. As we bring these new solutions to market, we want to take a minute to reflect on a larger and more serious topic. It would be impossible today to not be impacted by the global crisis facing our environment. On a daily basis, we see powerful images of unprecedented wildfires around the globe. Most dramatically, the bushfires in Australia have threatened delicate and vital ecosystems and communities. This is a global event that knows no boundaries. But we at VMware believe that tech can be a significant force for good. Within VMware, I've made it a priority to define our own path to net zero carbon emissions and embedding sustainability into our business. To mark the launch of our new Tansu portfolio, for every one of you that participates in this event, we will plant a tree in Australia to contribute to essential reforestation efforts. Following this event, you'll find additional information for how you can join us in reforestation and ecosystem restoration efforts, and links to additional information where you can learn more about this important topic. I know we can make an incredible positive impact for those in Australia and around the globe. Throughout today's event, you'll hear from our team how VMware can uniquely unlock the potential of your business through Tansu, vSphere, and VMware Cloud Foundation. As we open the door to the next era of applications for your business, just imagine what the next 20 years will hold.
Welcome to VMware's annual market briefing. I'm Raghav Farrell, Executive Vice President and General Manager at VMware. And today we'll be unveiling our strategy for app modernization in a multi-cloud world. Every organization is under intense pressure to deliver innovative services for their markets and do so as rapidly as possible. But this speed can't come at the expense of security, reliability, and operations. And all of this is even made more complex by our need as to how to operate in a multi-cloud world. The monolithic applications that define the enterprise, these are a thing of the past, giving way to applications that most resemble a distributed system, built of lightweight, flexible components. One of the most essential elements of any modern app strategy is Kubernetes. There's a lot of excitement around Kubernetes, and for good reason. In fact, we spent the last 3 months studying over 1,200 organizations worldwide to better understand what successful businesses are doing with app modernization and where they continue to face challenges. 75% of these organizations have an aggressive build on Kubernetes infrastructure for their next generation of apps. But the vast majority have only just begun to use Kubernetes and indeed to use containers. The organizations face a lack of skills for developers and for operators. They face operational concerns, performance, reliability, and security. They deal with solution complexity, all of which are holding back Kubernetes within the enterprise. Our goal is to democratize Kubernetes and cloud-native application development. And we're doing it in a way which is focused on multi-cloud. Whether you're running in the data center, whether you're leveraging cloud infrastructure, or when you're building infrastructure at the edge. Today, VMware is announcing a complete app modernization portfolio. This is an announcement which has been years in the making. We looked at the existing architecture of our products and services, and we brought in new cloud expertise and combined that with the knowledge VMware has gained operating the most demanding enterprise applications over the past 20 years. We brought together the authors of Kubernetes and Pivotal, an organization at the forefront of modern app development practices. And we took inspiration and the best thinking of the open source Kubernetes community. Coming to the market today are three primary offerings. VMware Tansu Kubernetes Grid, bringing a consistent Kubernetes distribution for any environment, data center, cloud, or edge, running on VMware-based infrastructure and any native cloud or even bare metal. VMware Tansu Mission Control, delivering a single environment to manage modern applications across multiple clouds, multiple teams, and multiple clusters. And VMware Tansu Application Catalog, giving developers a curated catalog of open source applications and application components that are continuously tailored to meet the specific requirements of each individual enterprise. Tansu is available now, embedded in vSphere, operable across VMware Cloud on AWS, native clouds, and edge environments. For ISVs, we're building on the successful introduction of VMware Marketplace. ISVs can write once and publish to any cloud. ISVs can package their solutions as VMs or containers for AWS, Azure, Google, IBM, or any of VMware's 4,000 plus partner clouds. VMware is also announcing VMware Cloud Foundation 4.0, the cornerstone of VMware's hybrid cloud offering. At the core of VMware Cloud Foundation is VMware vSphere 7. Using Kubernetes technologies, we've re-architected the very core of vSphere, creating an open platform that offers a more cloud-like experience for architects and admins. Resources and services are now instantly available to developers via self-service. Operations are more agile. This is a platform that will accelerate innovation for all of our customers. And even more, VMware Cloud Foundation is optimized to run all applications, with your existing estate of virtualized workloads running alongside those leveraging Kubernetes. Naturally, Cloud Foundation can be deployed on premises as part of your data center modernization strategy. And within 30 days, you'll be able to deliver VMware Cloud Foundation on VxRail as part of the Dell Technologies Cloud Platform, an integrated solution with unique integrations and full lifecycle management. But we're also extending our service offerings as part of a hybrid cloud solution. We're excited to bring VMware Cloud Foundation 4.0 to VMware Cloud on AWS in the second half of 2020, and through VMware Cloud on Dell EMC for the data center and edge in the second half of 2020 as well. But VMware Cloud Foundation is the core of more than 120 cloud verified partners, and we are actively working with all of them, including Azure, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, and Oracle Cloud, to make sure you can adopt these great innovations.
VMware Cloud Foundation 4, fundamentally re-architected for modern apps. Compute, storage, networking, and cloud management, even stronger as a unified platform. Through Kubernetes, VMware vSphere now offers an open API surface for self-service access to essential developer services. Virtualized apps now run alongside those on Kubernetes, a singular, optimal environment for all applications. Extending VMware Cloud Foundation across the data center, cloud, and edge creates consistent infrastructure and operations, speeding exponential growth in applications. To build, run, and manage modern apps in the diverse, complex world of multi-cloud, we bring you an entirely new portfolio, VMware Tansu. Developers are free to build apps for any cloud, while operators manage their entire cloud estate simply and efficiently, and developers and IT collaborate and communicate across a single shared platform.
Through this portfolio, we will give developers the freedom to deliver powerful applications to any cloud. We will strip away the complexity and barriers to Kubernetes adoption. We will enable millions of IT administrators to transform their skills for a new wave of modern apps. And we will unlock the full potential of a next generation of innovation for the market. So starting today, you can begin taking hands-on labs, interactive simulations, and live labs for VMware Cloud Foundation and VMware Tansu. To discuss this portfolio in more detail, let's join two of VMware's leading experts that have been personally involved in architecting and bringing these solutions to market. Erin Metzel from VMware's Modern Applications and Platform team, and Jared Rossoff from VMware's Cloud Platform Business Unit. Hi Erin, hi Jared. Great to have the opportunity to have you here to share with people around what's behind some of this technology. One of the key solutions here is actual VMware Cloud Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit more about the use of this solution, everything that's in VMware Cloud Foundation?
When you want to deliver Kubernetes as a service to your development team, right, underneath that you need a compute platform, something that can deliver the actual virtual machines and container infrastructure that runs those Kubernetes clusters. You need networking and ways to stitch those Kubernetes applications together and connect them back to the traditional applications you've got in your data center. You need storage and ways of delivering high availability and disaster recovery. This is exactly what VMware Cloud Foundation delivers. And so what we've been able to do is take those concepts of compute, network, and storage virtualization that are already best in class in VMware Cloud Foundation and deliver them in a sort of as a service to developers through this Kubernetes fabric.
One of the things which is fundamental to some of the products that we discussed today is, of course, VMware's vSphere product. And I've said that vSphere 7, basically, this is one of the largest re-architectures of this product we've done in many years. Can you dive into a little bit about that? What changes have been made in vSphere itself?
So we think about this across two dimensions. The first is how we've actually leveraged Kubernetes to transform vSphere. And then also how we use vSphere to transform Kubernetes. vSphere has clearly set the standard for running complicated modern enterprise applications. But most of the applications historically have been like a single virtual machine or a handful of things. So when we talk about Kubernetes transforming vSphere, we're really combining that Kubernetes control plane with the vSphere hypervisor to create a new kind of platform that can run both the virtualized workloads that were traditionally running on vSphere and these new modern applications.
So Erin, when we look at Tansu, it is this piece of technology which works from vSphere to the public cloud all the way to the edge. What's so powerful about that perspective?
The world is really undeniably multi-cloud. There's an incredible amount of innovation coming out of the cloud providers that developers want to access. And the truth is that developers are going to access those cloud providers whether you give them explicit permission to or not. And developers need this flexibility to build their applications on any given platform so they can take advantage of these innovative services and bring innovation to their end customers. And operations need flexibility as well, right? So operations needs to ensure that these environments are cost effective, that they avoid lock-in in the future, and that they're meeting their needs of compliance. And this flexibility drives a lot of complexity. Tansu is really built just for this world. We're focusing on enabling developers to have the freedom to access any cloud while not adding additional complexity for operators.
One of the challenges that we often see is the developer and the IT admin working together. What is the best way to bring them together?
One of the breakdowns we see in a lot of IT organizations is that there's this wall between the software developers building applications and the IT department. And when we can break down those walls and have IT and developers working together, massive efficiencies and great magical things happen. So what we want to make sure is happening is that when a developer is deploying an application, that the IT team can actually see those things. They see them under the same name. They understand the logical context of the application the developer is trying to build. And that helps IT do things like deliver better performance and security and availability than they would otherwise be able to do.
As organizations expand to multi-cloud, it's imperative that operations teams can successfully manage those environments, ensuring that they're secure, that they're used efficiently, and that those environments are consistent. At the same time, developers need to be able to move really quickly. They need to be able to access services from each cloud, and they need to be able to have self-service access to infrastructure. Moderating this tension was really one of the key design principles of Tansu in the first place. With Tansu Mission Control, we're providing an automatable modern infrastructure that's mapped to enterprise people structure. We're enabling operators to manage many different environments, and we're connecting developers to a world where their software is running in many different places, including vSphere, public cloud, and bare metal.
But that also brings up a question of skill sets and the ability to be able to get the talent that's needed to build and transform these new type of applications.
Let's be honest, no one really wants to think about Kubernetes, right? Organizations really want to think about the applications that are running on Kubernetes that are actually driving innovation for their business. With Tansu Mission Control and Tansu Kubernetes Grid, for instance, were focused on codifying the know-how of operating Kubernetes at scale and across multiple environments, and bringing that to customers to make it easy to use across multiple environments. We're leveraging open source tools and best practices and making those solutions easy for customers to use across clouds.
We've spoken a lot about vSphere and Tansu, but there's a large open source component to everything that we do here.
It's extremely important for us to stay close to the open source community for a number of reasons. It allows us to take advantage and also drive innovation so that everybody's leveraging best practice and the best tooling available to them.
But vSphere itself, in this new technology, integrates well with Kubernetes.
We talked earlier about how we were actually leveraging Kubernetes, the open source project, in vSphere itself in order to build this common control plane, this platform, this hybrid services fabric that allows us to deliver new services to developers. Tansu Kubernetes Grid and our Tansu portfolio is obviously a massive part of the set of services we need to be able to deliver to developers. But developers need databases and messaging and middleware and other kind of capabilities. And so what's really important to us is to be able to leverage the open ecosystem of innovation that's happening in the open source community and be able to make sure that we can leverage all of those investments and developments on the vSphere platform anywhere where you choose to run it.
Okay, well, thank you both for sharing with us some of the details and the insights which goes into this great new portfolio of products. I'm really looking forward to see what our customers can do with those. But with that in mind, let's actually take a look at the products. Let's see some of these solutions in action.
Hey, Erin.
Hey, Richard. Let's dive deeper into our modern apps portfolio.
Absolutely. And let's do that with two of the leaders who have really led the development of this portfolio. Joe Bader of our Modern Apps business unit and Kit Colbert, or CTO of our Cloud Platform Group.
Hello. Hello. Good to see you,
How's it
Richard.
going? Welcome. So, as we've spoken to the customers, there's been three key priorities that every single one of them wants to achieve. So they want to make their developers more productive. So they want to really exploit the value of the multi-cloud reality. And the third is they want a pathway to actually transform their applications, not just do that one new one, but what do I do across all of my environment? And interestingly, their top characterization of the ideal cloud environment was the ability to manage their applications consistently wherever it is, right?
When we started the Kubernetes project, our goal was to actually find a way to abstract the things that we could abstract, but while still providing mechanisms so that you could take advantage of the underlying platforms that you were running on top of. So Tansu Mission Control really brings all of this stuff together regardless of where you're running Kubernetes. Whether you are dealing with Kubernetes that you're managing yourself, whether you're using a managed service from one of the clouds like AKS or GKE or EKS from Amazon, or if you're using one of the VMware provided Kubernetes runtimes, Mission Control can actually help you as a single control point across all of that.
Visibility, observability is certainly a huge part of what we're trying to solve for here, to understand the underlying health of applications and clusters. But what's also super important is being able to assert control into those environments to manage things like security and policy.
Yeah, exactly. I think, cloud native and cloud in general is really characterized by being super dynamic. You have applications coming and going. You have new locations that you need to ship to. You have new members of the team joining. And so it's not just about configuring that once. It's about configuring that on an ongoing basis, and so that you can sleep well at night, making sure that the configuration doesn't drift.
Yeah, one of the things that we've discovered working with a lot of organizations through the development of Tansu Mission Control is that there's really no one true hierarchy. So one of the things we've been really focused on is how do we enable organizations to group resources across a broad variety of clouds in a way that's logical, but also more flexible, right? So that they can have that flexibility to think about applications and teams and not always the underlying infrastructure.
But let's think of something simple, but that's a huge issue today, like access policy.
Yeah, so access policies are a huge challenge for a lot of organizations. Sounds like a relatively easy problem, right? Like, let's just give a developer access to a cluster. But that problem is compounded at scale. Say you have a new developer join, and now you have to give that developer access to 100 namespaces across 100 different clusters, and those clusters are probably across multiple clouds. That becomes a huge challenge, and that's one of the key things that we've focused on with Tansu Mission Control, is enabling this developer self-service access to infrastructure architecture, enabling this through consistent policy management.
And our policies go beyond just access control. I think another great example is you want to, make sure that the workloads, the container images that you're running on your Kubernetes clusters aren't coming from some random place. And so we have another great example of a policy is restricting the registries that developers have access to for pulling their applications so that you can make sure that it's coming from a trusted place. And then finally, if you're running on Cloud Foundation, we can go even deeper and we can really have some of the really great features being introduced there bubble up, and all of that stuff is consistently controllable, visible, and policy driven from mission control.
And this is really what we mean in detail about when we start saying things like Kubernetes and vSphere, VMs and containers side by side. We're really referencing this genuinely integrated capability for everyone to work together as a closer team.
So it's obviously a big challenge for customers. How do you enable developers to get the right building blocks that they need to build their applications? These are things like libraries, tooling, services they might leverage. Enabling those developers to focus on their business logic and not on everything else is really the key imperative here. And so this is exactly what Tansu Application Catalog enables. The idea is the developer can go into this product and see a whole catalog that's been certified and blessed by IT operations to ensure that it's up to date in terms of security, compliance, all the various corporate standards. So developers don't have to think about it, right? They can just start taking it, using it, getting their job done.
It's also really important to ensure that once you've produced those secure images, that they can be pulled securely into the right environments, right? So this is actually a really cool integration with Tansu Mission Control and Tansu Application Catalog, where through the image registry policies that Joe described, we can actually ensure that these secure images are only pulled into the right environments.
I think another really important part about this is that this is not a one-time sort of set it and forget it type of thing. That security is an ongoing challenge, and that, yeah, you may have provisioned this application a year ago, but there may be vulnerabilities that are discovered. And so it's really critical that you have the latest patch versions. That's exactly what we can help with Tansu there as well.
This idea of productivity being driven by the ability for a developer to drive self-service consumption, right? That goes further as well, doesn't it?
And in order to drive developer productivity there, it's critical that we give developers an interface that they're familiar with. And again, this is where Kubernetes becomes such an important part. Developers know how to use Kubernetes. They're using it today to build out their applications. And what's amazing with what we've done with Tansu and VMware Cloud Foundation is that now we've built Kubernetes deeply into vSphere, into our software-defined data center. So developers can use the same Kubernetes interface they're familiar with, but now get access to all the different great services that are there inside of the software-defined data center. Things like the Tansu Kubernetes Grid, things like the container service or networking or storage services or registry services. Those are all there at the developer's fingertips.
And this is what we talk about when we talk about how Kubernetes allows us to really sort of, create this consistent environment while still providing access to the unique aspects of the underlying platform, like vSphere.
No, I'm a huge fan of giving developers access to the things they need. There's a little part of me that says, wait, what about ops? Right? So tell us about that.
Yeah, so a classic challenge has been that IT operations and developers speak different languages, right? They think about things differently, they look at the world differently. And oftentimes their tooling shows different views of the world. And that can make it really challenging for them to collaborate and work together to deliver an application into production. And so one of the beautiful things that we're doing with Tansu and VMware Cloud Foundation is that as developers are using Kubernetes and using that interface and provisioning applications and pods and containers and clusters, that those same objects are fully visible now in the vSphere client.
And we're literally seeing them made here as they're being built.
Exactly. So as the developer types it in, immediately the IT operations teams, the VI admins are seeing that as well.
So they're really reading off the same page.
Exactly. So now when they're talking to each other, they're actually speaking the same language.
Exactly.
So it's great that ops get to see these new constructs. But crucially, the tools they're using are very familiar to them.
So I think it's really important to understand this is not just a little UI update we've done here. We fundamentally built Kubernetes into our software-defined data center. This means that these objects that are visible here, again, Kubernetes concepts like namespaces and pods, are not just visible, but you can actually act on them. You can leverage all the great vSphere capabilities, things around storage policies or resource management capabilities or DRS. All these are now available to our VI admins and to IT operations to start leveraging all the tools they've already used to run their existing applications in production. They can now take and apply to their modern applications as well. These concepts are now there, but it's how do we ensure that we can continually evolve our VI admins in terms of their capabilities and role.
Dare I say that when I look at these things working together, that we're seeing teamwork between development and operations?
Dare we say it? Yes, I think so.
So we've talked about applications existing in a multi-cloud reality. Right? We've looked at the various ways that you can do very simple but powerful things to drive developer productivity, and how that now is deeply embedded into VMware Cloud Foundation 4 and vSphere 7 with Kubernetes. The third thing that people are trying to do is to say, but how do I apply these capabilities to my applications? And Joe, is it fair to say that what we've really done here is created a platform of building blocks?
You're exactly right. It's important to recognize that those building blocks are a great start, but that's not enough. Every organization has to learn how to use those tools in the right way. Along with that, not every application is the same. So there is no silver bullet. There's no one true path towards modernizing applications. What we have here is a portfolio where you can pick the right tool for the job for an application. And modernization is not a destination, it's a journey. And so as you take a particular application, you can start out with leaving it in VMs, but managing it in a more modern way using some of those Kubernetes technologies that are now available in VMware Cloud Foundation. Or as you start to containerize it, you can start running it on top of Kubernetes. Or at the very sort of, most cloud native, you can start refactoring it using something like Spring and microservices and really take the fullest advantage of both Kubernetes and the underlying platform.
That's excellent. So in a very short space of time, we've seen 3 really powerful ways that organizations can benefit from the VMware application modernization portfolio. But Joe, we know that this is more than just a technology story.
That's right, Richard. It's not just about having that cloud native toolkit or building cloud native applications. You really need to build a cloud native organization so that over time you can take best advantage of everything that we talked about today. Succeeding in cloud native is more than just technology. It's a combination of great technology and organizational principles. For most enterprises, cloud native is a challenge for both people and culture. They benefit most when they examine how teams are organized to drive new approaches to operations, communication, and collaboration. VMware is partnering with these leading enterprises so that we can learn from them while we help them make the best use of tools like Kubernetes. Recently, I had the chance to speak with T-Mobile. They're reshaping the customer experience for the telco market. They're shifting to a model of rapid, continuous innovation, and it's working great. It's a perfect example of good technology, modern organizational principles coming together for great results. T-Mobile really is a cloud-native organization. Let's listen to my discussion with T-Mobile. I'm here with Warren McNeil, Senior VP of Product Technology here at T-Mobile. Thank you so much for joining me, Warren.
Thank you for being here.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you and to hear about T-Mobile's journey. You know, T-Mobile is really a rebel in the industry. How does being cloud native and actually making software easier to ship and develop, how does that play into actually delivering a better user experience?
We are a rebel. We're a disruptor. We're the uncarrier. I mean, that is fundamentally what's behind the brand, is we want to do things differently. You know, we were a company 7 years ago that was on the verge of being sold. We were going to be acquired by AT&T. That didn't happen. The technology we had was actually becoming a hindrance to our ability to move forward as a company. But then the business started to move, and these uncarrier moves started to take hold, and we very quickly realized we needed to change what we were doing within our technology, with our teams, with our processes, so that we could keep up with the pace that the business needed to operate at. And the business has been incredibly successful, so we put a lot of focus on making things simple, and everything from applications that deliver you value every week to our digital properties, and making it easy for you as a customer to use our service and manage your service, to the applications we put in front of our front line, whether it's our retail reps or our customer care reps, their ability to service customers easily and quickly.
What are some of the most surprising sort of, innovative ideas, improvements either coming, and how did that play in the interplay between teams and between, different functions inside the company?
Early on, when we started the transformation, one of the biggest challenges we were dealing with was just operational stability. So you start to introduce the ability to use like containers and microservices, giving teams the ability to deploy quickly. They started building a new telemetry. So things that we didn't have visibility to, all of a sudden we gained visibility and our operations started to improve at the same time that our velocity was increasing. So I think one of the interesting finds was we were getting better and we were getting faster, and it was the power of doing that at the same time that really became the aha moment.
Well, great, great. So now as we look at your centralized IT functions and application teams, was there any friction there? Did you have to sort of reinvent how those teams related to each other, and how did you go about doing that?
You know, you're doing a large transformation in an enterprise level. You have teams that have worked with applications and platforms. A lot of it's packaged software that it's been around for 15, 20 years. We use large data centers. We run large networks. So our initial move into the cloud was met, I think, with a lot of questions, some resistance, everything from privacy, security, legal, how would it work operationally. But once you begin to show teams what's possible and what they can do with it, you go from a period where you're doing software releases, maybe it's once a month, once a quarter, to we do them 100 times a day.
Awesome.
We're doing software releases during the off hours at night when no one's on the system, right? Don't touch the systems when users are on it. Now the mentality is do it during the busiest time of the day, because we can protect the end users, we can see how the system's performing, and we can roll it right back if we need to. So it's totally changed the way that we operate. And as that happened, and as we created the freedom for teams to go move and utilize new technology, you kind of begin the cycle where more and more innovation gets brought in and adopted, and teams feel safe doing it. Even though we started a transformation, that transformation really never ends. So some of that comes through the use of the new technology. Some of that is how you organize the teams, bringing the development teams, the operating teams together, making them jointly responsible for what you're going to put into the market.
One of the things I'd love to hear is, like, what was the iPhone 10 launch like, and how does sort of being a cloud native organization help you out?
Most of the iPhone launches are a fairly stressful event for carriers. You see a lot of volume, you see these high peaks. They begin at midnight and then they tail off as you go through the day. But you're asking a lot of systems. And so the challenge for us was, how do we begin to prepare for a business that's growing, this event that's going to become a high watermark every year? And so about 4 years ago, we began a technology transformation, and the iPhone is a great example of what we're able to do that we couldn't do 4 years ago. Last year when we did this, quite literally, we had teams going home within a few hours after the peak event happened. So for us, it represents, I think, the ability to tackle one of the most difficult events that come around every year, and we just get better and better at it each year as it comes around.
So it's really all about empowering those application teams to move faster and really keep the customer at the forefront of their minds.
It is. Everything that we're doing, from the end carrier moves that we do to why we're doing what we're doing with technology, it's about the customer, delivering better customer experiences, getting to market more quickly, because it all does come back to giving customers what they want, making doing business with us simple.
The solutions we've brought to market today are incredible, but they are part of a larger and a more profound investment by VMware to build a foundation that will power a new generation of applications. Recently, I sat down with Raghu Raghuram, VMware's Chief Operating Officer for Products and Cloud Services. Raghu has spent more than a decade directing VMware's strategy for vSphere, Cloud Foundation, and Cloud. We explored in detail the changing paradigm of applications and how we're building a new architectural model that will shape a generation. Let's listen in. Raghu, let's dive right in here.
Yep.
And we know that companies are making this transition from the more traditional applications into these new types of modern applications. But let's take a step back. What exactly do we mean by these modern applications?
We all know apps drive infrastructure, right? There are now developers and developer teams understand much better how to do software in a distributed scale, right? With the distributed teams, such that the pace at which you can develop new capabilities increases dramatically, your developers are more productive, and your applications work much better and much better at scale, right? The collection of techniques and architectural approaches is loosely what's called modern applications. If you're an enterprise company, you have hundreds, thousands of applications, and very often tens of thousands, or in fact hundreds of thousands of lines of code doing very useful work, right? What companies have to do is write these modern applications, but also take care of these existing applications and make sure the collective application portfolio works together. So it's a very heterogeneous environment. And the job of infrastructure and modern management is to collect all of these things and be able to deploy them, observe them, manage them, scale them out, scale them in, protect them, and so on and so forth.
We see an embracing of modern applications, but VMware has obviously emphasized a lot the emergence of hybrid cloud. How does that relate to this whole world of modern applications?
Hybrid fundamentally is providing customers the freedom of compute to be able to put their applications closest to where the data is or where the user interaction is. Sometimes it might be in the public cloud, sometimes it might be in the edge, sometimes it might be in the data center. But regardless of where you put it, you want to have a consistent infrastructure, a consistent way of running an application, a consistent way of connecting the application parts together, or securing the application, or delivering resources to that application, and a consistent way of managing these applications and operating the environment. With VMware Cloud Foundation 4 and vSphere 7, the game fundamentally changes. You can have one infrastructure that is very well suited to traditional applications, as it always has been, but is also now ideally suited to modern applications and the combinations of both. And that's never been the case for VMware customers before. And then secondly, because this entire platform has been reoriented around Kubernetes and the open platform APIs, it's now become not only a universal application platform, but an open platform to run all applications. And this innovation will continue. Today, it's just, modern applications and containers and so on. Soon it'll be functions, GPU-based applications, machine learning applications, whatever you can think of, right? All of this as an open platform and a platform that's available everywhere. That is going to be the power of VMware Cloud Foundation 4 and going beyond.
Now, when I look at the public clouds, they're essentially the new infrastructure combined with your on-prem data center, but you've got the same heterogeneous challenge. You've got the same silos in management. My view is what we are doing here is beginning to say, once again, you need to be able to manage all of these in that consistent fashion, and here are the tools to do that.
Our strategy is about doing two things, right? The first, of course, is taking the VMware Cloud Foundation stack that serves millions and millions of applications, mission-critical applications, and stretching it out into every cloud. But the more important thing that we have done is we have taken advantage of Kubernetes. As we all know, Kubernetes is becoming the emerging de facto standard for infrastructure and creating an environment that allows modern applications especially to be portable across cloud A versus cloud B versus on-prem versus edge versus anywhere. Kubernetes is where infrastructure meets applications. But the developer experience is what decides at the end of the day how fast developers are going to move and where are they going to build and deploy applications. And with Tansu, we are starting to think about that a lot. And you're particularly spearheading some of this.
When I talk to developers, what comes up over and over again is speed. The developer experience needs to preserve as much as possible that ability to be able to operate at speed, that ability to be able to leverage the rich open source ecosystem so that they're not building all of these services themselves, and that ability to be able to say, when I build my application, I can do so in a way which is broadly independent of the underlying infrastructure. You want the speed, the agility, the ease of management. They want to use frameworks and platforms. But I think the unique experience is when you can give them all that ability, and yet we connect into the infrastructure in a way that allows those applications to remain secure and to give this great economic model. It's that stitching between the two.
I know you've got very ambitious plans for Tansu being a family of products and services. And what we are announcing today is just the start.
VMware has helped the world enterprises leverage IT, leverage technology over the past 20 years in a way which has really been, they can trust us. We help them solve real problems. What we're looking at now is doing the same as they go through this journey, a pragmatic view of how they're going to make that transformation and a pragmatic view about how application developers and the IT operators are going to work really closely together. Looking forward to seeing where this comes out when we have this conversation 20 years from now. Okay.
Great.
The most exciting part is that this is just the beginning. So let's get started. Let's build that next generation together.